You're listening to RideAlong, EMT School. I'm Mike.
And I'm Max. We're two students navigating EMT school, bringing you along week by week.
And I'm Jonathan, a paramedic bringing real-world perspective.
Join us as we share the lessons, challenges, and stories from EMT school, and hear insights from those already living the EMS life. Welcome to the RideAlong. Welcome, everybody, to a very special bonus episode of the RideAlong EMT School Podcast. And in our bonus episodes, you know what we like to do? We like to talk to awesome people in the EMS space. And we've got a really great episode for you tonight. In this episode, we have the absolute pleasure of introducing you all to a couple of EMS providers who have entertained us for countless hours with their hit podcast, EMS 2020. Their show has been a huge inspiration to this podcast thanks to their thoughtful breakdowns of real-world EMS calls, heavy use of movie references, and their highly scientific incorporation of medically calibrated 20-sided dice to help illustrate the chaos of our chosen profession. And as if creating a super entertaining podcast wasn't enough, they have also launched a subscription where you can earn continuing education creds through FlightBridge Ed for simply listening to some curated episodes of their podcast and answering a short quiz. And now, on a personal note, for these guys, I can't thank them enough for helping me keep my head centered on patient assessment and thinking 2 steps ahead of potential medical issues, especially during long car rides in the month leading up to my recent EMT psychomotor exam. So please, everybody, welcome Spencer Oliver and Chris Pfingsten. Did I get it right, Chris?
Yeah, no, you did. It's just, Pfingsten. I always just tell people, just get rid of the P and then it looks fine. Can I tell one story about my last name as we get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. It starts off in a Hollywood video, which goes to show how old the story is. Back when you used to like rent VHSs. I showed up at a Hollywood video. And I'm like, I intended to show up there. I didn't wake up there. I didn't realize the way I said that. It makes me like, oh crap, where am I? The drama section again. But no, I went to this Hollywood video and I'd forgot my Hollywood video card. And I walked up and I'm like, hey, I don't have my card on me. He's like, well, let's look it up by your last name. What's your last name? I've been spelling my name to people the same way for years. And I start off like this and I say, it's P as in Paul, F as in Frank, Ingsten, because if I say it's Pfingsten with a P, a silent P at the start, they'll say PH. Or even if I say P, even if I just say PF, if I don't say P as in Paul, F as in Frank, the brain will just make it PH. And so, which I don't blame them. That's our brains. That just happens. But what is funny about that is I had one guy who said, I said P as in Paul, F as in Frank, and I watched his hands on the keyboard. I watched it go PH. And he's like, I don't see your name. I'm like, oh, it's because you hit PH. It's actually PF. And he goes, sir, PH makes the F sound. And I'm like, I know that's what that does. I'm pretty positive my last name is PF. And so and then I'm like, it's PF. And he's like, all right, I'll try it. And he did. He goes, oh, well, there it is. I'm like, yeah, there it is. It's my name. So yeah, it just kind of blew me away. I was like, all right, cool. Because like I've had people make mistakes with my name all the time. That's not a problem. But when they're doubling down, I'm like, no, sir, you're wrong. Oh yeah, Spencer also once made him. Spencer rarely makes a mistake on my name, except for when it comes to buying plane tickets.
Oh, totally. When it doesn't matter at all.
Absolutely. So we realized that like the night before. Like I know his birthday, and he's like, "You're like what? October, November birthday, something like that." Anyway. Yeah. No, perfect. Yeah. Facebook tells me about yours.
I know your
too,
birthday.
So good.
My phone tells me.
But yeah, anyway, that's an introduction to my. But thank you for all the kind words, by the way, about the show. We do have a subscription.
Yes.
Everybody
should go check it out.
Yeah, because you go to EMS2020.com, you scroll down, you'll find it. Right now we have select episodes, but very, very shortly, every single episode will be up there.
Wow.
And you just listen to the episode, you take like a 3 to 5 question quiz at the end, and then you get your credit. And that's it. Exclusive episodes will be coming up on that too. But just let everybody know we're not taking we're not shortening. We're not taking the episodes away from our freely accessible stuff on iTunes and Spotify. We're not taking anything away from that. We're just adding some stuff to this for people who want to pay a little bit more, but for people who don't want to pay, then don't. But it's only $39 a year, so it's a very small amount of money. But
it's
anyway,
a great deal.
So,
I don't know.
Nothing's a small amount of money in EMS. Like we don't.
That's
make all
true.
That much.
I have seen the amount of Tacoma trucks that a lot of volunteer firefighters managed to buy. I was a volunteer firefighter at one point in time. I'm pretty sure an extra $39 a year can be squeaked out.
Do you know how much Copenhagen that can or Zyn tablets?
Yeah, that's a whole month of Zyn right there, man.
Yeah. I got a guy I work with. He's a flight nurse. He's the most medic flight nurse I've ever met in my life. And he comes in with just a white monster and Zins. And the roll of Zins is as tall as the white monster is. And it's usually about half by the time we're done. I'm like, he's younger. He's very young, like for a nurse, even still. And I'm like, you're going to die by the time you're 40. And he's just like, that's the plan. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Going down in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
Billy Joel said only the good die young.
Die pretty.
That's how I firmly believe that. I can't.
I've seen a lot of evidence to the contrary.
In this job, you see a lot of people. It's like, oh,
I think I have to readjust now that I'm newly minted into the EMS world because, oh man, like there's a lot of nice old people that we meet. Like
aren't they wonderful?
That's 90% of the service that I'm at is like, there's just not old people everywhere. I didn't realize this many old people existed. My first call ever was going and picking up an old gentleman with dementia from an old folks home. And quick story, because I'm obviously you guys are going to relate to this.
Yeah.
So my first call ever, of course, I'm like, ready for action, right? I've got my shears in my pocket and I got a stethoscope stuffed in there and everything. And like, I'm like, okay, they just need to tell me where to go. Like, I'm going to go see some cool stuff. And first call ever comes in. I'm like, okay, where are we going? Oh, we're going up the street. Oh, it was so close. That's where the old folks home is. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, is someone sick? Are they hurt? Like, what do we like? Did they break a hip or something? They're like, no. It says, I think the call came in as just like, unable to walk or something along those lines. It was very vague. And we walk in and the nurses at the front desk are obviously like, okay, so, Mr. So-and-so here, he's got dementia. He's no longer ambulatory. So you guys need to take him. And we go, but for what? They're like, well, we don't have the facilities here to take him to the bathroom or get him up and out of bed. So you guys need to do that. I'm like, is he sick? Like, did he fall? Like, is there like, I'm a fly on the wall too. Cause I'm like in my head, this is all going through. They're like, yeah. So, I'm like, where in earth is this a 911 call? Like you guys called the ambulance to come, the Uber exists and families and all this. And man, was that an eye opener. First call ever. I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what we do. Right.
Oh yeah. That can be a lot of it. And and it's funny. Yeah. Cause what they're trying to do there is they're trying to, it's like, well, if we get rid of them, then when they try and send him back, we can decline him because he's not here, but I can't kick him out until you pull him out of there. They what they're really doing is evicting him, and we're the bouncers. And I'm like,
some of the places I practice have even,
Now, question.
No, I was just gonna say some of the places I practice, Virginia and North Carolina, they have put laws into effect that nursing facilities cannot do that. They used to do that all the time at the onset of my career, but they've put some laws into effect that say, no, if you send them out via 911, you have to take them back. So that's a positive. Yeah, that's a positive change. But what that does is it starts that billing cycle over again for Medicare and Medicaid.
Yeah.
Is if they get sent out on a 911. So that's been my experience.
This sounds fair.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, that's a cool. That's a cool. Because I was like, oh, if they're trying to work on it, like, and they're like, well, you can't just send them out. I'm like, but you can. You'd be like, he said he had some chest pain or something. Like, he's not having it now, but he also has dementia. And then your hands are kind of tied. And so I'm like, oh, there's an easy way around that. But no, that's a nice little loophole closure. No, Mike, my question for you. First call, first shift.
So
how sweaty
admittedly, I've done a lot of like stress inoculation type training in the past. So I get excited, but more in the like, oh, I'm like an eager puppy type of way. Like, oh, I'm excited to see this.
Yeah.
I tend to not get as much of the like stress response type stuff anymore, just because I've done so many things. Like actually one of the ways that Jonathan and I met, Jonathan teaches like tactical medicine courses. So I've taken his tactical medicine courses, a bunch of others where we go through actual scenarios with things called simunitions, where we're actually like shooting each other with like, simulated firearms and all like, so that stuff really like gets you from like your the sweatiness coming on. Mm-hmm. But I definitely had a lot of the like, hey guys, are we going like what do I put the gloves on now? Do I not put the gloves on? Do you want me to grab the bag? Which bag do you want? This bag or this bag?
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, none of the bags. Yeah.
No
bags.
You take
leave
them.
It all.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Chris, I'm with you.
Stretcher only.
I want the kitchen
maybe
sink.
Not even that. Maybe this is a cancel.
Oh gosh. I for anyone that listens to our show, to EMS 2020, I do have a recurring rant, and it is bring your kits in, bring them all in, because it's the one that almost always gets left behind is whichever one has the oxygen tank. She'll be like, that shit's heavy. And they'll just take whatever else it is. And the advantage to not bringing your kits in almost never outweighs the potential disadvantages. No. The one thing I appreciate about people not doing that is it gives us content for our show, EMS 2020.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's, what ends up happening is you end up getting on a scene that surprises you. And now you have to rush this patient out to your ambulance. You have a choice. You either have to run back to the ambulance, grab the stuff, and then run back in, or rush the patient into the ambulance and then come back. And a lot of people, you'll hear a lot of excuses. Well, the ambulance is right outside the door. It's 5 feet away. And it's like, okay, so just bring the shit then. Like, I'm like, it's just even more reason to bring the stuff. The only caveats to that I will say is when it comes to search and rescue, those kind of things where the amount of equipment where they're truly like. It's so hard. Like if you're going to a facility or a traffic or someone's house, it's really hard to be like the hike in. I'm like, you mean with the stairs and the elevator? That's the hike in. Like, no, that's not reasonable.
Yeah. Well, Chris, it's fair. Is search and rescue. Go to the, like,
and they're not telling you which one it is.
There's 3 floors.
They're never sure which hall it is on. Like.
I'm actually convinced that memory care units are just full of paramedics that can't find their way out. That's all it is. You just got Bob trying to find his way out. And I said, there's like, I'm a paramedic. And the nurse is like, sure you are, Bob. Let's go back to your room. But no, really, I've been stuck here for years. That's all it is.
There's a patch on my arm.
Yeah.
He's wheeling his hospital bed behind him like it's a gurney.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just,
Yeah. That's why you develop the thing now where you always get the code before you go in, because that way when you are old and senile and they're like, no, Spencer, go in there. You're going to go get a patient. You go like, I need the code before I go in, because you've trained your entire life.
Some of the places I go into now, they will not give you the code. Like on their life, they will not give it to you. They've got to escort you out, and you can never, ever find somebody when you need to get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. I need the code. Give me the code.
Well, while we're talking about my fresh experiences and my bright-eyed, bushy-tailedness getting crushed by the reality of EMS, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about where you started? Like where are you at right now? Like what's your role in EMS, and like what was the journey?
Spence, you go first. Yours is funner. Yours is better.
Let's see here. I skipped school one day in high school, and I got on a bus that because there's nothing better than skipping school than having like like someone's like, hey man, I'm going to this skill center, and it's an excused absence instead of just skipping. And so I went like, okay, and I went with my friend to the skill center, and they had the skill center was essentially like, hey, you go to school for part of the day and then you go off to this like occupational training sort of a thing. And they had, hey, if you want to be a cop, like people get tased in the class. And I was like, that sounds entertaining. Like, I think I could do that. But then I was like, God, it's a lot of a lot of stuff going on there. I don't know about that. And then they had a hotel management course. And they were like, yeah, we like draw outlines of ourselves. Like it's teamwork building and you're drawing outlines. And I was like, this seems kind of kindergarten. I don't know. And then they had a fire science one. And I was like, fire, outdoors, turnouts. Like that sounds kind of cool. And so I did fire science for 2 years as the last part of my high school. And you got college credits if you got above a B. And somehow I managed to do that. And what I learned was I don't think I want to be a firefighter. I do not. It just didn't jive with me. But they did talk about like an EMS course. And I was like, or like, go like, hey, on the ambulance. And I was like, that actually kind of sounds interesting. Like what a cool college job that would be. Like other people are working at Starbucks, not to belittle Starbucks, but then, you're like, you're trying to pick up girls or something. It's like, what do you do? Oh, I work on an ambulance saving lives.
Way better than security guard.
Job.
I worked at Best Buy.
And
that did not pick up chicks.
Well, yeah. I ended up being a security guard in a casino for a while on this journey. So no, it's a terrible job. But what I found was it took me a while to actually like get into EMS. But once I got into it, I was like, oh my God, like I found people who I resonated with so well, like on a level I just never expected. And it was like, it wasn't just like one or two people. It was like a lot of people where it's like, oh my God, they're just like me. And so that just made it such a, and I also learned that it really wasn't a college job. Like it's actually kind of its own career. And so, I just fell in love with it. And that was that was it. And I've, I was an EMT for a while. I became a paramedic. And then, 10 years ago, seems like a long time. I got the opportunity to go into flight, and into critical care. And when I had started, I was like, oh, that's hoity-toity stuff. Like I won't be doing that. I'll just be a ground medic. And I do love being a ground medic. I still work part-time as on the ground, but I very much enjoy doing critical care medicine as well. So yeah, that's my long winding journey.
I said it was better. I said it was fun. I didn't say it was fun.
I don't think it was. So thanks.
I was never a security guard in a casino or anything like this. Well, didn't you briefly try for like stand-up comedy as well?
I did. I did a very, very, very brief stint. But I was not 21. And at some point, the bars were like, hey, man, you got to show your ID. And I just lied my way through for a while. It was like, oh, I forgot it again.
Oh, just to even perform?
Well, then you can't come in. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so like there are exceptions, but like no bar doing like open mics gonna fucking.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Are we good to swear on here? Like, okay, good.
Oh, we do too. It's
because I do that, unfortunately.
We try. Yeah. We've been successful at not being like filthy because in our real life it's just terrible. Like outside of the podcast, but in the podcast we savor it. Like, you know, if you need it, like it's there, right? Like,
yeah, it's funny. We got invited. This was a while ago to go speak at the Nebraska State EMS conference, and they wanted to talk to us before we got there. They're like, "Hey, really glad you guys agreed to come. This is great. So we listened to your podcast, and you can't say everything you say on the podcast out here." And we're like, "Yeah, like we get it. Like that's your house, right? Like we're not going to walk into your house and start swearing at people, you know."
Sure.
But like, when it comes to like our podcast, like this is our house, you know. We're bringing, like, we swear. I hope that doesn't bother you because it's gonna happen, you know. And so it's
like anybody who's like, oh, we don't swear in this space related to EMS. It's like, have you met anybody from EMS? This is the most blue collar. Like, I'm pretty sure this is more blue collar than any blue collar thing I've ever seen. Like literally every shirt everyone wears is blue. Like it's just like.
Oh, ours are too. Ours are dark navy blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
The flight. I mean, they're flight suits, but they have a blue collar on them. It's interesting that you mentioned that very thing is that we've had some people. I guess it's not a lot of people when you compare it to the percentage of listeners we have. But we've had people that we've had it a couple of times where someone will say, "I really like your guys' stuff, but I can't use it because you swear too much and you guys should swear less." And they'll usually say like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard, but you swear too much." And in my head, I'm always like, so you're telling me you have really good EMS education that you want to use and teach other people in EMS, but you won't because I said fuck. That seems like a weird barrier. You know what I mean? Like, we're about to talk about like not only where babies come from, but how you're responsible for it coming out, and it's not pretty. But oh man, there's this 4-letter word that we just we can't get past. You know, so I'm just like, anyway. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Some of my favorite reviews on our podcast are related to some of them.
That was clever. Like that was good.
Their first words.
I'm like, that's good. Yeah. So, yeah.
Sometimes you get those reviews that are just like so perfectly, like they sting in just the right way. It's like, So I had a YouTube video once where I was doing like a radio presentation because I teach radio stuff in my side gig. And it was a live event in front of an audience of a bunch of like people who do firearms training. And that audience curses a lot. Yeah. Like it's just the way that we communicate. And I spoke the way that I would usually speak at a class and posted it right up to YouTube, and people were like, "I cannot listen to this. You're disgusting. Like you're like
you're a horrible person.
You sound like you're a horrible person." I'm like, am I? Like it made me start doubting myself,
which is crazy.
I'm like the way they worded it.
Yeah.
Because Mike is actually one of the kindest human beings I've ever met in my life, and like genuinely cares about people. So like for folks to say things like that, it's so counter to the Mike I know.
Yeah. Well, my problem is this is my own insecurity. I will do anything for a laugh. Yeah. Like that's just like I have to. Like it's just I will make any joke. I will be as crass as humanly possible. Yeah. I will say things that would make my mom really embarrassed. But to get that person on the other side of the conversation, just to go, that's the best moment ever.
It is. It's good. Well, so I got started in human. This is perfect. I got started pretty much fresh out of high school, kind of similar to Spencer. Spencer actually started in high school. I started a little bit after, I think the summer of my senior year, I went to go be an EMTB. And yeah, then I did a very little bit of volunteering because Washington State, which is where I was an EMT at the time, required that you have an association. So I had an association with a very, very tiny little fire department up there where I was there for is actually cool. You were what's called an EMS resident. And you stayed in-house for a week and then you had 2 weeks off and then you stayed in-house for a week. The only thing that sucked though is having 2 weeks off. You always came back and you're like, I completely reset and I've lost all knowledge of everything that I learned on that 1 week that was here. But I want to say I did that for like 3 months before going over to Oregon and I ran like 4 calls. It was such a dead area. Like it was just bananas dead, you know? So it's like, all right. But we had a type 1 ambulance for anyone that knows what a type 1 ambulance is. Wow. It's not the trauma, what they call the trauma Twinkie, where it's the type 2. That's a type 2 ambulance. A type 1 is a pickup truck. With like essentially a hollowed out camper on the back. I mean, it's an actual ambulance box, but that's what it felt like. And you can't get through to the person in the front at all. They're just like, they're there, but that's it, you know? So you just
that's what my service runs a lot. Is type 1s.
Yeah.
Type 1s. Like they have a hole, like you can yell through it, but you can't go through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and there's an intercom too, which I didn't even know about for like the first 2 months. Like,
yeah. Well, it's funny because we ended up getting the service that I ended up working for, same service that Spencer and I both worked for a while. They had all type 3s. That was what their RFP that was in the RFP for that area is they had all type 3s. But I'm not a huge fan of type 3s because type 3 basically means there's a walkthrough, you know? And there's downsides to that. One of them being that if the patient vomits and you're going down a hill, all the vomit then comes up. Yeah. So, which that's a very real thing. And so the vomit starts washing up. So what we did was they ended up putting barriers in them anyway, so that they were all type 1, almost all type 1s by the time we were done. But I mean, I don't know if it's a technicality or what, but that is my favorite. In fact, Spence, our current group chat with a lot of our friends that used to work there and whatnot. One of the guys in there was actually, I saved his backpack because I had a patient. It was such a fountain of vomit, and we were in the back, and it cascaded from the gurney over to the bench and filled up that little gutter behind the bench seat there, and then was running all over. I looked down like at my feet, and I could see like vomit sloshing around, and I felt like a dinghy boat captain taking on water, like we were going under, right? Like, oh, it's the Ella Fitzgerald kind of shit, right? And so then we start going down a hill, and I just watch it cascade, and he keeps his backpack in the pass-through, and I'm watching it go there. I'm like, no. And you can't yell, go back uphill. You know, it doesn't work. So I grabbed a bunch of like our towel blankets, and I built like the Hoover vomit dam in between there, and I saved his backpack that way.
That's how you know you've hit a level of operational competence is when immediately you're like, oh, that's a lot of vomit. And you're like, the patient will be fine for a moment. Let's secure all the things.
Because that pass through, that's where everything goes. Like, there's backpacks, jackets, the vests, lunch,
we used to
towel
bring portable DVD
warmers and all that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, it was that was that. Oh yeah, so type 1 ambulances. Yeah, so I did that.
Tangent.
And then I went to work in Oregon, and I got a job as a vehicle service technician, which just means you restock and clean the vehicles. You're not like a mechanic or anything like that. But I did that because technically I was too young to drive. You had to be 21 to drive. And so I did that, and I worked like standby events. And so I'd go out like the racetracks and the Blazer games and stuff like that. And that was a lot of fun, but you didn't get a lot of EMS experience in it because like the racetrack, you just like, I mean, I hope they don't crash. And sometimes they would. Yeah. And the only thing they're mad about is their car, and they're fine. Yeah. They're like, well, my fucking car. And I'm like, yeah, but are you okay? And they're like, no, I'm not. My car's broken. Yeah, but like physically, are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm fine. Fuck off.
Yeah, right. I'm wearing this helmet and this like Hans device, and there's a roll cage. I'm fine. My arm hurts, but it's no big deal.
They could probably get hit by a car walking across and they'd be fine, you know, but anyway, but they, so there's that. Unless it was OMRO, which is a motorcycle thing, and then which case all you did, but like that was just someone always got messed up at OMRO. But anyway, so there's all that. So I did that for a bit, and then I became a wheelchair EMT, like taking people to and from their appointments, and was in paramedic school at the time. And Spencer and I ended up taking some of the same prerequisites for paramedic school. I was about a year in front of him, but we met again there because him and I actually went to the same high school. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. He looked up to me a lot in high school. I was a senior. So he knew exactly who I was.
It's like this guy's going to be a big EMT someday.
Well, it's funny because we actually got into the same class, and he's like, Chris Pfingsten, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, I gotta be honest, man, is it Oliver Spencer or Spencer Oliver? I don't remember which one, because they're two first names.
Yeah, you can't trust a guy with two first names.
Yeah. Yep. And he's like, Spencer Oliver, and so I'm like, awesome. And then I realized
true.
I can just call him either one, and like this is all EMS. People call each other by their last names all the time, or I'm calling him by his first name. I don't actually have to know. So yeah, and then one day we left class to go fix his car stereo, and he slammed his hand super hard in the back of his Geo Metro.
I had a 95 Geo Metro, greatest car I ever had. Right, I wish I knew about cars, because boy, it actually did earn me an anti-date at one point. I showed up and they were like, "That's what he drives?" Nah. Oh, I'm not feeling good. Family emergency.
Like, hey, it filters out. You want people who are going to love you for you, Spencer.
Right. Right.
So Lord knows.
That's why you should ride a bike to your first date.
Absolutely.
Totally show up like 40-year-old virgin, just like with a helmet and proper stand-up bike.
Ching ching. Get the little bell on the end, little basket. Get some pegs so she can ride too.
Yeah, the pegs are absolutely important. It's a date after all. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know.
She's got to sit on the handlebar. That's a little too close, too soon.
Sit behind you and spoon a little bit. Anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much it. No, then I became a paramedic with the ambulance agency that I was with, and was there for a while. Did the FTO thing, did the supervisor thing. Got kind of into ambulance systems and management thereof, and building them. Got pretty good at that, and then I left because it was one of those things where I started realizing that as much as I love those things, primarily my passion was in clinical things. And so, Spencer kept telling me, like, you got to come do flight. And then he would get other people at the same flight company that also worked with me that'd be like, oh, pester him as well. And so it was just a pestering of people to be like, you need to come over here. And so finally there's a moment where I'm like, it's going to be a pay cut to initially start out. Eventually the money comes back around, but it was going to be a pay cut. And I'm like, I got to do it, because I had the thought of, could I imagine myself retiring from this current job? Which it was your typical, it was honestly a great place to work in terms of I'm very grateful for the experience I had there. Because I think it's so important to do 911, but it was one of those where it's like, hey, you clock in and you run calls until you clock off an hour late. And that's how this runs. So experience aplenty. So there was that. So I'm grateful for that, but it definitely sends you towards burnout pretty quick. And so with the flight company I'm with now, it's funny. I tell people, they're like, well, how do you like flight? Isn't every call serious? I'm like, no, not every call is serious. A lot of the calls we do, if it's a scene call, a lot of the scene calls are built like this. It's like, hey, they're fine now, but we're 2 hours away, especially the area where I'm at. I work on the coast, and there's no trauma hospitals anywhere nearby. And so they're like, well, they're fine now, but I'm 2 hours away, and I don't want to get an hour into this and suddenly realize, oh, there was a big bleed, and now I'm an hour away from anybody anywhere, So that's why, and the patient's now an hour behind where they need to be. And so that's most of your scene calls, is just kind of being like, so you like helicopter rides? That's the way down there, as you go by. And that's the whole thing. Or you'll do interfacilities where it's like, hey, in small towns where there might be 1 or 2 ambulances for the whole town, and that's it. And they can't send that ambulance 2-3 hours away and then wait for 2-3 hours to come back. And so it's like, hey, does the patient have a problem now? No, but when we hit 7 a.m. and the other ambulance comes on, they'll be dead by then, So it's like, they've got 7 hours of time. They don't necessarily need the flight, but they do, because there's no resources here. That being said, at least everybody I take has had something happen to them and is sick in at least some way. I have never landed a helicopter behind a car wash because someone peed themselves and wants to go to the emergency room to get cleaned up. Hasn't happened yet. but generally speaking, has not happened. So that's the calls that really burn you out haven't really hit flight yet. So I haven't had to do those kind of things. So that's always good. But yeah, that's how I got in the flight. That's where I'm at now. The podcast itself, that started over a couple beers at a camping trip. So
was it? So Spencer pulled you in to flight.
Yes.
And who pulled who into the podcast?
I pulled him to the podcast, I think. Kind of, because I did one with somebody else, and then we decided like, oh, Spencer's cool, as we had a mutual friend. And we're like, oh, Spencer's cool. And so we pulled him in. That podcast is called Medical Stuff. It's still out there, I think, if people want to listen to it. But it's different. So
is it still active? Do you still make episodes, or is it?
No, I haven't made. Now I gotta see. Medical Stuff. Is it still there? Oh gosh, it is still there. Yeah, it's got a 4.5 stars rating and 147 rates. The hosts are insanely smart and insanely dumb. That is our latest review. Oh goodness, that's perfect.
I would be honestly, I would be proud with a review like that. Like,
because I know exactly what it means.
Yeah, what we're doing on this podcast is like, hey, we're literally dumb. Like we're embracing the dumbness, like, which is the best part of EMS. Cause like, it's been a whole like journey of being able to admit that I don't know things, and people like jumping in and being like, no, well, we'll teach you how to do that. I still think of myself as a kid. So when I think of like, we'll teach you, kid, come on. We'll show you the ropes. We'll teach you how to do the thing. And, it's been such a great mentorship thing. And honestly, that's that's why I wanted to know who pulled who into the flight thing, because what I'm finding is that every step along the way, there's somebody who loves this thing, right? Like Jonathan, it's his fault. Like he's one of the things. Like, so Jonathan went through paramedic school 2 years ago. And when he went through, I had no idea what paramedic school was, right? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, you're a paramedic. It's like an EMT, right? And now I know that's horribly wrong. But so at the time I was like, whatever. And then like over the years, he was like, you should do it. Like you would be good at it. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And then somehow I got like a bug up my ass, and I was like, okay, let me give this thing a try. And what really got me to do it is, unfortunately, our other co-host Max, he couldn't make it tonight, and I saw him and was like, I think he would be really good at this, but I don't know if he's going to like do it on his own. So I came up with this elaborate like plan to shame him into joining EMS with me. So I wasn't going to do it alone.
Yeah. Perfect.
And yeah, I mean, it's like literally this theme exists everywhere. Like, oh, I'm just going to like lure them into this EMS world and just like have them be miserable with me.
That's pretty much it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like we said before we recorded. It's very much like parents convincing another people, like, you should also have a kid. It's like, oh, it's so great. And then the minute you're pregnant, they're like, oh, be ready to never sleep again. Be ready to respond to this little tyrant. It's very apropos to EMS.
Little tyrant.
You'll never sleep again. You'll respond to people with tyrannical demands.
There's lots of diapers.
Yep.
Lots of poop.
I'm still waiting. Yeah. I mean, knock on wood, man. Like I have not had a poop call yet.
It's coming.
I know it'll come at some point. I fully admit that.
Yep.
I'm okay with the fact that I haven't had one yet. Like, I might as well just quit now and just just get out while I can without having to do it.
You know what's been kind of fun with the podcast so far is the number, how people will often feel that their call is super unique, and it's not. from the perspective of guys who, so we literally, there's a company that takes, so the submission forms, there's a company that kind of handles that for us, the submission forms. And they have told us no more, 5, like this many calls is your limit. Like, we're not storing any more for you. And it's like, okay. And so the oldest ones are still there. But yeah, so we've had to kind of like work around with that. But yeah, it's resolved now. So we have our own thing, especially through the EMS2020.com. So please submit your calls. They're not going anywhere. I want to make that clear. Keep submitting. They don't get burnt into a big fire somewhere. But it is one of those things where it's funny because when you look at it from like an international level, you know, people call her like, hey, this guy put this thing in his ass. We're like, people do that a lot. That is up there. All the time.
No. They fall.
Yeah.
They fall a lot.
Yeah.
On cylindrical objects.
Bizarre. Yeah. But you know, or we'll do an episode where somebody like, I know what call this is. And it has, and well, first of all, we never tell anybody. We have a canned response if someone says, I know what call this is. And we just have a canned response that essentially says something, I forget, but something along the lines of like, yeah, a lot of people say this and it almost never is. So that being said, we will never share with you. We will never find out. You'll never find out if you're right or wrong. It doesn't matter. We're just not telling you. And so I can't think, I don't want to say it's never happened because I don't like speaking in absolutes, but I can thoroughly say I don't remember any time that anyone who has said that has guessed right, no matter how wild the call is, you know? So it's just, it's wild and how someone will be like, this happened in, you know, Blingsville, Massachusetts. I was there. And I'm just like, it did not happen there. Like in my head, I'm like, because again, we don't tell them, but like, oh yeah, that's,
but
on the
we
form,
know. It's like, this says,
but we know,
Montana, or like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, people, we never ask, you know, like I don't ask for agencies. I don't ask for locations. Some people will volunteer that stuff, you know, when I talk to them, it never makes its way on there. So like when it is surprising how often someone will be like, dude, I was on that call. This is what you got wrong. And I'm like, you know, and like, you're on the other side of the country. And, you know, and it's funny because you'll think like, wow, these are very unique circumstances that happened for this call. And here's somebody else who was like, you had it almost right. And I'm like, it's crazy that those two calls that were, you think it's unique, but they're not, you know, other people have run apparently very similar calls to that, you know, with a couple details that are tweaked.
I love the like the camaraderie that comes from this whole industry, this community, right? Like everyone has these shared experiences where even if it's not like I was on that call, that the exact thing happened from the moment to the start to the end, like every single, like even me, like I've been on maybe, you know, 24 calls, like total. And like, okay, for instance, I watched Code 3 with Rainn Wilson, who, by the way, if anybody's listening, you should absolutely check out EMS 2020's episode with Rainn Wilson. Yeah. Congratulations, by the way, guys. That's a big get. I mean, you know,
we were blown away. We didn't seek it out either. Like they just called us when they're like, you want to do this? We're like, yeah.
They called you?
Yeah.
Oh man. That's okay. Yeah. Now I know you guys are big. They called you.
What was wild about it is that so they called us, and we've had this thing for a while now where we've always decided, and it gets hard. It's harder for me than it is for Spencer. Spencer's a stalwart foundational dude where he's just like, no, like the show is sacred. We don't change the show. This is not an interview show. You know, we don't bring people on to talk. That's just not how we do. Now the interview shows aren't great. They're fantastic, you know, obviously because I'm kind of on one right now. But if we're going to do that, it's going to be outside. You know, if we're going to interview somebody, we'll make it like a bonus episode if we can, or we'll do something different with it or put it on our YouTube channel, something like that. But the main show, because what we want is our listeners trust that every other Wednesday they're going to turn it on. It's going to be this kind of episode. And we messed with that once and it hurt, you know, and it plummeted stuff. And like, it was the episode did so poorly that we've never touched it again. We're just like, no. And it's called Fight Night. And it's one of our early episodes. And it just was awful. It was fight night, and basically Spencer and I had a debate about, I think it's like different types of mannequins or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, but it's still up, but it flopped. I don't even know what I said at the time either, so I'm kind of nervous now. People are gonna be like, "Why do you think this?" I'm like, I don't know, but yeah, it flopped hard, and so it was dumb. So we've never done that again, and so we held to it, and so we went back to them, and I remember being nervous about this too, because I was just like, man, this is such a big deal. It's going to be Rainn Wilson. It's going to be good for the show because it'll bring in listeners just to hear him. Like Rainn Wilson fans will want to listen to it. Like, I don't want to lose this. But then I'm like, then Spencer, was like, yeah, well, see if he'll just do a call with us. And I'm like, I don't think he's going to want to do that. And then we put it up there and they're like, oh yeah, we'll do it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, wow.
That was my favorite part about it. I was like, oh, it'll be an interview with Rainn Wilson. Cool. And then you're like, oh, and by the way, we're going to go through an actual call with Rainn and talk about, I'm like, oh, this is even better because they're bringing somebody into, and that was the beauty of that movie, right? Like they're embracing and kind of diving deep into EMS, and you see and that's what I was resonating with before. Like, I've only been on a couple of dozen calls, but like some of those calls were the things that I saw in those movies.
Yeah.
And like the common themes and the connections, like, oh, I've had a shared experience with other EMS people across the country with you. Like, there's even if in the smallest amount, there's somewhere where we've had a shared experience and reaction to the absurd or the tragic or the humorous, or like, that's the best part about it.
Yeah. Well, we had the writer from Code 3 on as well, Patrick Pianezza.
I listened to that one too.
What a good dude. Well, both Rainn and Patrick Pianezza were great. They were awesome to have on there. And so, what I appreciate about Rainn is you could tell he was not home. He was kind of touring, I think, for the thing, like doing the interviews and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And you can tell he's just crammed in a hotel. What's that?
The press junket.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell he's like in a hotel room somewhere, just kind of crammed in the corner. He's got his clothes hanging on a rack behind him. And he's like, all right, guys, let's get this done. And so he's just carving out a chunk of time just for us to come and sit down. He was great. It was awesome to have him in there. And he was like, he's like, hey man, thank you guys for the opportunity to be here. Thanks for what you do. And we're just like, okay, and then Patrick Pianezza came on, and Patrick had a lot of fun. He really had, I mean, Rainn, I had fun and whatnot, but at the end of the day, he's an actor, not a paramedic, Patrick is a paramedic, and he came on, he just had a great time, and he wants to come back on. Maybe we'll do it. I don't know. But he was awesome. Their movie's doing really well too. So good for them.
Yeah. Oh, when I saw it hit, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, and it happened to start getting promoted like the week I went into EMT school, and I was like, this seems like weirdly timed.
Yeah.
And like, as it came out, like I was in like, I don't know, when I finally saw it, I think we were going through like medical emergencies, like cardiac medical emergencies, overdose and stuff. So we'd just done overdose. I had probably just had my first code where I saw an overdose and then saw the movie. And like 15 minutes into the movie, the first 15 minutes is an overdose code. And like, he's giving Narcan and the dude's throwing up in the ambulance. I'm like, this is, I'm telling everybody around me, I'm like, you got to see this thing. And they're like, shut up. You've been in this for like 5 minutes. You have no idea. I'm like, no, but you don't understand. Like, I'm pretty sure they like tapped into this zeitgeist of like EMS. They like hit it. They actually managed to like, be true to what we do.
What they did right, because like there are so many shows, and I'm sure every profession that has a show about it, probably they're like, these fucking people. But what they did was they didn't just focus on, it's like, because most of the job isn't, like, my God, we have to save a life right now. Like, when a show opens up and the first thing they're doing is like a needle decompression, I'm like, that's like a, on the ground, that's like a once a 5-year, thing. And they're like, every shift, like, we've got to escalate it. like you're a great paramedic, but you're a terrible
you're
partner.
good.
You know, like
maybe
that kind of
good.
dynamic, that kind of bullshit.
You're good, but you know
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But they didn't really like they did the thing where it's not about the calls. It's about it's about Rain's character and his partner as they go through the shift together.
Yeah.
And of course the ride along. And I think that like that's kind of what every ambulance shift I've ever worked with somebody, like that's kind of what it is. It's two people, if it were a book, the shift is the book and every call is a chapter in that book, and it's really more about like, oh, I learned my partner doesn't like to listen to lung sounds, like let me help out, or we get clever with trying to make a C-spine thing and we make a funny.
It's also the moments in between too, there's the clinical stuff, but then the moments of like, man, he's dying for a taco. Like this guy really loves tacos. Like
that's legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so legitimate.
I one of my favorite things about the emergency services culture is the kind of shared meals thing. Like I assume that's probably universal amongst most services.
Oh yeah.
No.
What?
No. I work at a base of cats. Like we're just like we see each other in passing.
Oh, I got you. Well, I meant so like you and a partner grabbing like food while you're on your way back from a call. Like, hey, this is the only chance we're gonna have to eat in this 12-hour shift. Gotcha. Let's stuff our faces together. So one of the place that I primarily volunteer at is it's shared fire and EMS, right? So they're a bit like there's a bit of a communal aspect there where like, oh, some nights where we'll all the ambulance and the fire truck will drive to the local diner for breakfast and we'll all just go have breakfast together. So like I love that stuff, but like the moments in between the treatments were just as good as the treatment stuff because it showed the dynamic between the people that do this, and that's the story, right? Like, okay, yeah, everyone has a job and a profession, and there's something very exciting about performing medicine pre-hospital, right? Like it's emergent, right?
Yeah.
But like the tapping into the just like the rundown and the kind of confusion and the fact that like it becomes second nature to deal with this chaos. Like, oh, he grabs his muffins and then, hands his muffins to the guy that's Porky Pig in the street. Right.
Yeah.
Or Winnie the Pooh. One of the two.
Pooh Bear. Porky Pig fits though. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's Pooh Baron. Yeah.
Pooh Baron. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's clothed on top, not on the bottom. So it's a draw. We nobody wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except him, he got his muffin.
Yeah. When I finally watched that movie, I was actually at Mike's house, and that movie hit me in a very like visceral way. I'm like, I've ran that call. I've made a joke that dark. I've seen that patient. I've felt that way. I've definitely scarfed a meal on the way to a call before, like a whole, bowl of chicken Alfredo, 3 minutes to the call, and I mean, and it actually hit me in the feels a couple points in that movie because I'm like, I've been on that scene with that stuff happening. And I thought it was not just on the like showing the profession, but showing like kind of the humanity of the people in the profession. I thought it was great. So,
yeah.
So I loved how you guys brought Rain into the process, right? Yeah. Like you didn't compromise the format. Because I love the format of the show. And I probably should have introduced like to our listeners like what the format of the show is, but you guys listen to calls, right? Or like people out or providers out there submit calls and you guys basically do an after action review like going through step by step of the call, what happened, like what decisions might have been made, or what like, you know, impetus there was to make that decision. And then, you know, kind of bring it from start to finish, right?
Yeah. Well, we turned it into a funny story first, really. We turned the whole call into a funny story that relates to some kind of pop culture thing somehow.
Well, that's also the thing that drew me in. I love the pop culture references. But like, where, like, did you guys come up and form the format early? Like, was that like clear from the beginning, or was that the vision?
That's a good question.
Man, I think we picked case reviews, and we picked a very particular mentality to approach case reviews. And that's because there was a doctor, a guy named Dr. Moreno, who did this just incredible case review in which a crew did the wrong treatment, but he wasn't like, oh, the idiots, you know, like he was like, no, I totally understand how they got here, you know, and this is why this actually probably wouldn't help. But you know, hey, worth a shot. I see where they're going with it, you know, and I was going like,
this is cool,
man. Like this is really cool. Like to have this doctor breaking down, not just like what the right thing to do is, but why the things they were doing probably wouldn't work, but also being like, hey, you know what? Like you guys are thinking, like that's your job. You're going out, you're going out and you're encountering situations that don't always fit well into a protocol book, or if they do, you know, it's like they're one-offs and they're so rare that, you know, they're not something that you're regularly going to just be able to regurgitate. And you might not recognize, you know, and so he was like, you know, we pay you, like you're getting paid to think, and you're getting paid to use your best clinical judgment. And so like he didn't say this, but the message was like, so like, what kind of an asshole would I be if we're like, hey, we want you to think, idiot, like, you know, like when you do it the wrong way. So that's really what we took the approach of is like, hey, let's, you know, like, let's talk about stuff that doesn't get brought up in paramedic school, like the little operational hurdles, the roadblocks, the things that you don't even realize could be traps to fall into. And let's just do a show that highlights that. And then I think maybe our third or fourth episode, we gave people nicknames. And everyone who found our show at that point, you know, the 50 of them were like, more of that, please. And so then we did nicknames, and then it just became we're out of nicknames. Now let's just apply it to a theme. And I think the themes, I don't remember where they took off, but I remember someone requesting,
oh yeah,
can I be Maverick?
And we said no.
From Top Gun.
Absolutely not.
We're like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
And then we turned him into Goose. Like, man, Maverick was on the table. Yeah, I didn't know why you wanted to be Goose.
My favorite one that we ever did was back when I actually wrote episodes. I grabbed to choose. I was so bad at themes. There was one where I just grabbed a box of crayons and I would just randomly pull a color out and be like, all right, Sunfire Orange approaches the scene. And the other one, I had one of those kids, barnyard noise wheels where you pull the thing and it randomly selects like the cow goes moo. And I'm like, all right, cow, you know, the zip it again. That's how I kept coming up with different names.
You're like embracing the minimum effort.
100%. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to try this. So
I'm not going to lie. Like I get the calls and they're not hard to write up. What gets hard is when I have to figure out the theme. And literally, I'll sit on something for like 3 weeks going like, God, I got to write this thing up.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm going to make it. And that's when usually, you know, that 11th hour is when I'm like, okay, here it is. I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Sometimes I phone it
my
in.
favorite one, and I told Spencer this when we chatted a couple weeks ago. I was on a car ride down to North Carolina for Christmas to go see my family, and I'm listening to one of the calls. I forget. I honestly forget what the actual call was, but all of a sudden, like the first name comes out, and it's like Carl. I'm like, huh, Carl. Yeah, I wonder what theme they're going with this. And then as soon as the next name was like Princess Donut, I'm like, oh, he's doing Dungeon Crawler Carl.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And like my whole family in the car went, are you okay? Like,
are you good?
Are you all right? I'm like, I bet you there's going to be a Mordecai and I forget the other names, but I was like, the next name's going to be Mordecai. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, I love that. The pop culture references. Now, I will fully admit the first episode I ever listened to was probably one of the ones that is not your standard. I believe you list them as bonus episodes, right? The
special editions.
Special editions.
Special editions.
For anybody out there who is a bit of a nerd like myself, we talk about this on our podcast too. How it totally separate from like listening to you guys, we started like coming up with this like, running joke that we're going to create like a D&D game out of like emergency services professionals. We're like, oh, what's your stats and charisma and all this other stuff. And like, we'll imbue things with like special powers. Like that's a +2 stair chair of featherfall, or some shit like that. We're gonna make it like 100%, like because there's so much of this that could be really funny with and so when I started listening and you guys were doing your special episodes with all of a sudden adding in a dice roll, I was hooked 100%, which I know isn't the standard thing, but like where did that come from? Like how did you guys get to the point where you were like, okay, so we have the call, but let's add in like the variables and like the things that like we did, because it resonated with me because like, oh well, yeah, you could do this, but like all the factors that go into like the intubation, like I know I don't, it's not in my scope, but I understand it's difficult, probably in the back of a moving ambulance, and sometimes random shit happens, like you're on the bumpy road and like you can't predict that, but in a story and kind of a tabletop game, you can introduce those kind of chaos factors.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was such a great, like such a fun thing to do.
So the idea was, it was kind of me not wanting to do something and then Spencer finally finding a way to get it in there. So you guys familiar with Master Your Medics?
Only because of your show.
But. Oh, well, good. Tell Jeff that. But anyway, so Jeff Murphy, I met him now at a couple of conferences. Just a phenomenal dude to hang out and get a few drinks with, like top to bottom. He's a great guy. I really like him. He approached us. I met him at Fast 24, that conference. And he approached us shortly after that. And he was like, hey, I like you guys' show. We're coming out with a new book called the 100 Patient Scenarios books. We'd kind of like to pay you guys to do some advertising for it. And we kind of came up with this idea because that's part of the advertising gig is someone will say like, hey, can you advertise for us? And then you come back with what you can do. And so sometimes you have to get creative. A lot of times it's just like, okay, like this is our standard spot. This is our standard price, like those kind of things. And so we came back with like, wait, we got this idea that, and we wanted to do something long-term with them, because we have found out when it comes to advertising, it's a lot better to build relationships than to do one-shots, and so build relationships with good people, and then your audience trusts what you say and what you recommend, and then also you have relationships with good people who always help out down the line. And so we started doing these things, and Spencer had for a while had kind of wanted to do something with Dungeons and Dragons and rolling a dice and those kind of things. And he'd talked about it, and I get very business minded sometimes. And so to where I have to let it go sometimes, because what I have found is that if we do something that's fun, it tends to do pretty well. Like this whole podcast is an example of that. We just started doing this because it was fun, and we started out with the get-go. If it's not fun, we'll stop doing it. And it's continued to be fun. But my concern about the Dungeons and Dragons things is that I was worried. So one of the reasons we've done really well is that we're a really big fish in a very small pond, and so it's kind of like, so we're, we do anywhere between like 20 and 30,000 downloads a week, which when you compare it to Joe Rogan is nothing. But you compare it to other people in the podcast space, it's huge. And so by every measurement, if you look up EMS podcast, EMS 2020 is at the top and the very top. And there's a huge gap between us and the next one. And so that's helpful. But I was really worried that what we were going to do is like, are we going to segment our segment? In other words, are we going to take people who are, because we already have people who are interested in EMS. That's great. But what if we start turning off people, And so that's what I was really, really worried about. So I got kind of hyper-focused on that. And I didn't want to do it. As good of an idea as it was, I didn't want to do it. Then finally, we're doing this Master Medics thing. And Spencer's like, we had some conversation about how can we spice it up? How can we make it a little bit better? And Spencer's like, we should roll a dice. And in my head, I'm like, not this shit again. But then he talked about it a little bit. It started to make sense. And I'm kind of like, gosh, yeah, we can do it. And I'm like, I just don't want to lean too hard because what I don't want to do is make it difficult to understand because I don't want to have to teach people D&D. Like that's what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I want to be accessible. And so we did. And it has turned out great. So that's why like it's very D&D light. The only thing we really do is the dice roll. And
it's only a D20 and it's not like you're not doing percentile dice. You don't have character sheets. You're rolling charisma checks. And
And so
I love that you guys add in the kind of aspect though of like, say it's Spencer's turn to run the call and like, hey, like Spencer, like, okay, well, what I'm going to do is lay out my intubation kit and have it here. And I don't know, I'm going to make something. I'm like, we're going to tape this down because we're on a bumpy road and it's so that it doesn't fall off the bench. And you go, all right, I'm going to give you a bonus for the roll on that because you were well prepared and you thought through it in the beginning. And for me, and this is what I was kind of alluding to in the beginning was that like you guys have hacked into my brain to help me think through things because of how much that style of storytelling resonated in my head of like, oh, I can now I'm trying to stay a couple of steps ahead of the things that are happening and prepare for it because it makes sense. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, well, and thank you. Yeah, it is one of those things where thank you for Spencer. Thank you for my idea to do the D&D thing. But anyway, I kept trying to tell him it works great, but no. What I also like about it too is that we kind of keep the simpler aspects. So I didn't have to learn D&D because I like it looks complex.
It's a bit over the top sometimes.
Yeah, but I don't know. Over time, I'm like getting more and more accustomed to like the idea and whatnot, and so it's I think it's added so much fun. It has added more comedy, I think, than anything. Like especially when it's just like all Spencer can do is roll ones, no matter what, it's just these low rolls. I still like one time I rolled a 1, I think, on a partner that I had, and. It was just like I couldn't trust him to do anything, It's just like, it'd be better off to hand it to the bystander next to me,
My favorite was you were like, okay, if you roll a 1, you get an EMS supervisor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get some out of practice, out of shape supervisor. So there he's like
like
done
the
almost
chief
finishing
came on today because somebody couldn't fill the shift.
Exactly. Hang on, your EMS supervisor, he's almost done with that carton of Camels out back. As soon as he's puffed his last one, he's going to wheeze his way onto your ambulance. He has to use the CPAP en route, know?
What I think the dice roll adds to the show is something that that our other like the main podcast or the main show has, which is, and Chris has said this many times, and he'll say it better than I will, but people usually, it's not, they don't know what to do. It's just, they don't know what to do in a particular situation. Like when you're going through, EMT school or paramedic school, you've gone through the scenario stations and you're like, well, I would I would bandage that. And they're like, you're out of bandaging. Like that doesn't happen in a classroom setting because, what they really want is that you know what the right thing to do is. But in the real world, you discover
Rule of 3, no bandages.
You discover, you discover that the glass crew forgot to restock because, I don't know, because they did. And then you go, oh, well, what do I do now? And so the dice roll makes you have to kind of think outside the box and think on the fly. And it allows you the opportunity to sabotage Chris by being like, you're kind of hungry today.
And it's cool because I think it brings that element of reality. And because I've run a number of calls now where, and Jonathan, I think you'll be able to attest to this. You run a number of calls where there's no good damn reason that you missed the IV. There isn't. Yeah. You can see it. It's there. Why did you miss? I don't know. It just life happens, or things just don't go your way, or the monitor breaks. These things happen. And so what I think we've always tried to do with our show is we've always tried to go a little bit past the classroom. Now here's the thing. The education, what I don't subscribe to the mantra of, the real learning begins outside of the classroom. That's not necessarily true. More learning starts, but there's a lot of learning you get inside the classroom that's absolutely valuable. But we do try to focus on those things that you learn after the classroom. And that just kind of helps with that, right? It adds some randomness. And I think the best way of kind of putting it is that when you're in the class, there are certain things that your first day one outside of school, passing that exam, there's a lot of things that are going to get better, that you'll get better at as time goes on. But there are certain things that honestly, your day one out of class, you are the best you ever will be at that thing.
Yeah.
And there are things that are going to deteriorate as things go on, And so that's why I always used to love interns, because we'll be sitting there and I'll look at a patient and I'm like, I've seen this patient 100 times. I generally know where this is going to go. I can generally start getting ready for it and those kind of things. And they'll be like, I don't even know how you knew that was happening. And it's like, well, yeah, it's because I've seen 100 of them. But then they're the ones that'll, come up with, they'll tell me, well, gosh, I really think their acid-base balances up, which means their oxygen dissociation curve is going to be looking like this. And you're just like, shut the fuck up. But anyway, but they're right, but like, they're right. It's a good point. And so, there are a lot of things that, when you come out of school, that I try and tell people, I'm like, take pride in it. The other thing you don't have when you come out of school, you don't have one of the blunders that we see all the time. You don't have years of crust that has guided you down certain paths, the way you run calls a certain way, that actually kind of let you miss things.
I think what we were just talking about, the transition from the podcast into some of the more clinical aspects of EMS was a great transition, because I think the podcast and your experience have allowed you to kind of get exposed to all these things that are happening around the country or the world. Even, I assume you're getting calls from different countries at this point too. Are there any that have ever hit you hard, things that are just that stuck with you, that was so unique, or that was something you weren't expecting?
I don't know. I think, not to hit too hard, I guess, but one of the things that I have kind of discovered is that I've always known the area that Spencer and I work in is reasonably resource heavy. Mm-hmm. And I think what has been eye-opening is kind of seeing how people manage to do this job where they have an absolute fraction of the resources that Spencer and I have. For us, it's like literally in the town that I work, or I'm sorry, the town that I worked 911 and that both Spencer and I worked in, we had our choice of 2 level 1 trauma centers. Every single hospital, with the exception of one, had it. Well, I guess technically 2 hospitals, but actually no, by the end of it, they weren't an ER anymore. But with the exception of one, was PCI capable. And the one that wasn't was sometimes PCI capable. So it was like all these decisions about where someone's like, well, there's a PCI hospital, but it's an hour and a half away, and then I got this other one that's 30 minutes away. It's just kind of like, wow. I mean, you really have to. I think I know EMS, but then you see people in these situations and the decisions they're having to make with the resources they have, and then it really goes into like, okay, well, what do I do with what I have at hand? I think that's been kind of those interesting things. Some of the more, I think, impactful things. It's kind of hard to talk about some problems without getting too political. So I've kind of found that it's the suggested solutions to the problems is where the politics comes in. So I'll just describe the problems instead of what I think the solution should be, if that sounds fair. Sure. But one of the things that we are seeing is that, we are starting to see what I don't think people realize is that ambulance companies are shutting down in the country. We have ambulance companies that are either shutting down or they are getting down to a point to where they are cutting training to such a severe, like training to the bone to such a severe level, or that recruitment has become, really, really desperate. And there's a lot of factors that lead into those. Recruitment has been one of the bigger ones because just finding paramedics is hard. Finding paramedics to maintain current levels is difficult, let alone the fact that in many areas populations are growing and areas are expanding. So they are 5 years late to a 5-year-old problem. So they're 10 years behind. And then kind of like watching the training and is getting kind of lower and lower. And so that's been kind of a thing that has kind of hit me hard is, we hear stories. I think the biggest episode that I think hit hardest was an episode, I think it was called The Devil Wears 511. And it's an older episode and it's about
a great name.
And one of my earliest Photoshop jobs too was The Devil Wears 511s. It's a 511 boot with a high heel. And so, but anyway, it's just like the movie cover. And it was about this guy who was, it was about a guy who worked with this other dude that was just a kind of a monster. But, it's for whatever reason, whether it was staffing reasons or loyalty or both, this guy wasn't going to get terminated, And so it was just kind of like, I'm like, oh man. And then you kind of see, and then we did that episode. And then like the amount of feedback we got from people around the country being like, I know this guy, or I work in a system just like this one. In fact, I think in that call, an ambulance company had recently shut down in the area. So the ambulance company they were part of, and I could be mixing this up, but so the ambulance company they were part of had recently expanded to cover areas. But like all good ambulance companies, I should not say like all good ambulance companies. I take that back. Like some ambulance companies that are in a position where they are transport hungry, what they want to do is they don't want to hire more people to go run the transports because then that cuts down the revenue because you have to pay more people to do it. Instead, they see the volume and they want to see if they can get the current number of people to run that extensive call volume, because then that call volume goes straight to profit. Because if I cost $10 a day, I cost $10 a day no matter what I'm doing. But if I'm $10 a day and I run 2 calls, that's a lot worse situation if I'm $10 a day and I run 7 calls. And so that's what they're doing. If you can't if you expand the volume and then you have to then pay more people to go after the volume, you net nothing. And so that is kind of a big problem. And what I want to make clear is that the ambulance companies that are in this position, it's really easy to be like, oh, shame, greedy ambulance companies. What I will tell you is the floods of money that we all tend to like to believe are there when we're at the crew level and it's just greed that's causing this. It's also not there. It's also, it is this issue of money or not knowing when the next bill is going to come in. Sending out a bill for medical care, no matter what medical industry you're in, is a lotto ticket. It's a lotto ticket if you're going to get reimbursement on that. And so what a lot of companies are doing is I need to fill out the most lotto tickets I possibly can to try to get my best chance at getting paid. And so when you're asking yourself questions, why is my company doing these transports? Why are they allowing this to happen? That's why. And so it's difficult to start watching medical systems, watching hospitals, watching ambulance companies have to shut down because that money actually isn't there. And the hardest part about this problem and how doing this podcast has made it hit so hard. Sorry if this wasn't the direction you wanted this to go.
Oh, no, this is great.
The hardest part about this is that this is actually a very old problem. that has been going on for a very long time. And it's boring to talk about. It's boring to sit there and talk about like, okay, well, let's talk about Medicaid and Medicare and private insurance reimbursements and how those impact our outcomes on a day-to-day. Nobody wants to hear that. But that's what makes it so dangerous, is because this is a decades old. This is not a new conversation. Right. If you've been in EMS any amount of time, at some point, someone has sat you down and talked about how to bill with why your chart isn't getting the billing that it should. And we've been doing that forever. We've been doing this constant cycle of like, hey guys, we need to chart this way, because if we don't chart this way, insurance companies will deny it and we won't get paid. Well, then the insurance companies realize we're charting that new way. It's like, well, now we got to come up with new words to fool them. And it's this cycle of coming up with a new way to chart, them no longer billing, covering for that. Now we're going to do another way to chart, them no longer covering that. I have been seeing this game for 10 years, but it's slow and the cycle is long. It's like every 2 years it kind of comes around where we have to start changing how we chart so that we can get paid. And it's slow enough to where nobody really pays attention to it, but we do see the effects, and the effects have been slow. It's really easy to respond to something that happens overnight. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and, someone comes up and says, hey, no one's getting any money for anything anymore. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. But if we stretch that out over a decade, then we don't really notice it, because the people who are still around, who remember the old times, are kind of the old Todgers, and it's not really relating to the people who are new and making decisions for the future anymore. And so anyway, that is what I would say has become kind of the most, one of the more profound things, is that we do realize there are places in our own country and around the world, of course, that are struggling with getting EMS resources. And this is going to sound like one long advertising plug. It's not, but that is one of the reasons that we've made our own CE course. So God, it sounds horrible. Yes, it sounds like I'm advertising.
Tied in.
Advertising on the blood of ambulance companies. But anyway, but that is one of the reasons that we made the price so low, is because we do know, like, hey, like, people out there are slashing training budgets. And one of the first ways some of them will slash it is that they will slash it by reducing stipends to their employees to get their own education. And so we're like, well,
and you wind up funding it yourself.
Exactly. And then you have to go pay for your own education, because the state doesn't give a shit. State's like, where's your CE? Like that. And so we're like, well, hey, if we can, if you can pay $39 a year and have access to enough CE, because we don't charge per class. You get $39 a year and you get access to everything as many times as you want to watch it. And so if I could have people pay $39 a year and then they never have to worry about their continuing education again, I mean, outside of specific certs like American Heart Association and those kind of things,
right? Then
great. Then we're kind of solving a problem there. So anyway.
Yeah.
I think it is a great way to solve like that particular, making the CE process more affordable, more approachable for like any provider out there is great. When I started hearing you guys talk about it on the podcast, I was like, what? This is a thing? How is this not a thing already? This is great.
Yeah. No, I think it's good.
Yeah. Chris, we're going to need you to do that again, but this time we're going to play a Sarah McLachlan song in the background. For only $5.99, you too can help an EMT in need.
3 cents a day.
Yeah, we'll just have really tired and sad looking EMTs in the arms of an angel.
Just trying to eat his muffin.
Yeah.
just like a crumb of a muffin in that weird little paper muffin skirt, that it's and he drops it, Is there a video component to this? Are you guys saving the video stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay, perfect.
We do we release on YouTube as well.
Awesome. Spencer, did you notice his blanket behind him?
Nice. No, there's no blanket. This is
No, Spencer, but did you notice his blanket though? Mike's blanket.
Oh yeah, dude, you've got.
Hang on, get your blankets out. It's not the same color, but it's that same stitch.
Oh well,
no,
it's not.
Lighting.
It's not.
It's blue because of the lighting.
Oh, it's kind of a similar stitch though, isn't it? You got kind of like that V pattern stitch. Kind of
Did you get yours at Harbor Freight as well?
See, look, it's got that V pattern stitch in it.
I have no idea. This one's like triangles, baby. Triangles.
Oh, kind of it. I don't know. I feel like
these are just moving blankets, by the way.
No.
Yeah. I have no idea where I had it hanging up and then it fell and then I realized I was like, I'm the only one who cares. Welcome to my professional recording studio.
Because I've got my little background here. I don't have my good camera though. I have my good camera.
I've got a really nice blanket though for my lap because it's cold.
Oh, it's freezing down here right now. All right, so let's kind of wrap this up with like one last fun section here, because one of the things that I've loved about your show is the reference to pop culture and the constant movie references and tangents that you guys go on, which I will admit, I won't say we stole them, but we totally do the same thing on our podcast.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it takes us 20 minutes just to even talk about what the podcast is about, because we wind up talking about movies. And I think the last one we did, we went on like a diatribe about The Princess Bride, which is an amazing movie, but right,
phenomenal
it's
movie.
The best. So I have a question for you guys. Might take a little bit of thought, especially because I know you guys both like, you know, the movies. Who would you cast as your partner? Like, Chris, who would you cast as an actor as Spencer, and vice versa?
Oh, we could probably cast the same actor. We look the same.
It's Billy Bob Thornton for both. Let's move on. And no.
Oh gosh, who would I cast for Spencer? I would probably cast. The actor from Scrubs who plays the main character, not Dr. Cox, but
Zach Braff.
Zach Braff. Yeah, I'd cast Zach Braff for him for sure. He doesn't look like you, but he could. Yeah. Exactly. All right, Spence, you're up. But like comically wise, you know, like, oh gosh, I feel like he kind of hits it on the head. Overall competent, but willing to make a joke at his own expense, kind of thing. So.
Oh man, I have no idea.
I see you really don't care, Spence. That's cool.
It's true.
That's hilarious.
No, it's that I care too much.
Oh,
Chris.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just say no, Wiley. It's okay.
You know what? I'll do that.
I just gave you an actor's name.
I'll give you no Wiley.
I could have been like Margot Robbie.
You gave me Zach Braff.
Margot Robbie.
You know what? You know what? Tom Hanks.
I'll take Tom Hanks.
Yeah, you do kind of have a Tom Hanks, like, you know, cadence.
All right, I'll
say.
take it. Like not like Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks, right? Like we're not like
I was running.
Yeah. Actually, though, really quick, I know you guys aren't flight, but do you guys know what Forrest Gump's favorite kind of fuel is?
No.
Jedi.
That's great. That's great.
Oh, sorry, that was terrible.
Yeah,
it's not avgas. It's
yeah.
I may not be flight, but I actually do have a flight background. I'm a pilot, or I have gone through pilot training in the past. I haven't flown in like the last 5 years though.
Oh, gotcha. I haven't flown in the last 5 years either. Neither the 35 years prior to that either, but still, you know, 36 years. Dang it, I'm old.
I did it.
The pilots keep insisting I'll kill everybody.
Here's the thing. I am confident enough that I'd be able to get the helicopter off the ground. We would die a fiery death shortly thereafter. But I've watched that sequence enough time. I know which lever to pull. I can make it go up. I can get the skids off. Just putting them back down with any kind of control whatsoever.
Do you ever have like the fantasy in your head of like, oh, I'm the
100% I do. You don't even have to finish your sentence. I know exactly what it is. Pilot goes out, I jump up front and I land that motherfucker. Yeah, of course I have that scenario.
While simultaneously like saving him at the same time with one hand.
Of course.
And
yeah, well,
no, the pilot goes out the door.
Wow.
Like that.
It's a fantasy, Spencer. You don't have to base it in reality. You can pretend it all goes well.
Roll for initiative.
No, the dice. The dice said he goes out.
Could you imagine your pilot stroking out? He can only look around with one eye. He sees Spencer's just cold, looking him back in the eyes, and just rolls a dice. I guess it's a 1.
There was a scenario. There was another one recently that ended sadly for some of the crew. I guess for everybody involved. But there was an incident where like back in 2016, where a pilot had a medical emergency, like had a stroke during the flight, and the crew like climbed up front, and they had to like work with the pilot to try and get him to land. It was a harrowing experience. It's one of those where you're listening to it. I'm like, oh God, what would I do? And I remember talking to our pilot, one of our pilots at our base at the time. And he was like, ooh, yeah, that would be, here's how you turn on the autopilot, your best chances. And then he ended it with, hey, and if it ever happens to me, please don't push me out here.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might give us a couple extra minutes of fuel load,
Yeah.
Figure shit out.
Well, there was actually very, very recently, just kind of very recently, there was an accident. I won't get too specific, but it happened on the east side of things where the paramedic did actually take over, turn the helicopter around, and was able to actually land in the field. Unfortunately, one crew member did die.
Oh, geez.
I don't know the status of the other people, but yeah. So it's happened. But I do enough flight sims and helicopter sims that I too frequently think about like how could I actually do this, kind of thing. And
I just approach this with that Dunning-Kruger confidence.
100%.
I'm like, I could do
that.
this.
But how much of our job is that anyways, of just being EMS, because a lot of it's just kind of like you can do so poorly at this job. It's interesting because like one of the things, like when we get like newer people, especially like when it comes into, paramedic or even like flight, when you get new people coming in, a lot of it is just trying to like give them the confidence that like, hey, you can do this. You belong here, because they'll see it and they know what they need to do and it's right there. But they're like, but am I seeing what I'm seeing? And it's like, yes, you are. Just do it. Like that kind of stuff. And so that can get really, really hard. So exactly.
Is it funny that my fantasy has changed? Like when I used to get on an airplane, like I had this thought in my head of like, I know how to fly, right? Like I've landed a plane. So like I used to get on an airplane and be like, oh, well, if that pilot gets sick and the co-pilot and probably any other more qualified pilot that's on here, eventually it may come to me and I may have to land this thing. So like I always, you want to give the pilot a nod when you come on, like, hey, I got you in case this happens, right? And
22D, that's me.
Yeah. Just give me a heads up. I'll come up. It's no big deal, But now it's changed to every time I get on a plane, I think of, I wonder what would happen if that ding comes on. Excuse me, is there a doctor on board? And I'll wait because like I'm definitely not that. But like, far down that tree, eventually they might get to is there anybody who knows, at least how to put a stethoscope in their ears the right way? I'll be like, I could do that. I can come help.
Should bring this up.
Oh, I was looking at the FAA med kit list on my last flights. I just took some flights here the last week.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So funny you should bring that up. In the same flight where Spencer spelled my name wrong, and we had to like cajole them to letting me use my ID that had a different name on it. We get on this flight like a true partner in the ambulance. He sits in front of me. I sit behind him, and bong. There's a medical emergency. If anyone has medical training, please hit your call light. Flight attendant will come down and assist you. Spence turns around and goes, "You're up." like, this is yours. You're up. And I'm like, God dang it. And I hit the button. And the best part is the guy that comes by and Spence's like, hey, me too. And the guy looks at Spence. He's like, nah, we're good. And then like just for whatever reason. It was some dude out of Syncopal episode. And he was fine. But I went up there and there's this ER doc who's up there. I don't know if he's an ER doc. He might have been a different type of doc. And he's like, oh, okay. So, hey, like, what are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm a flight paramedic with. And I named my company. And he's like, you guys come to my hospital all the time. You guys are great. And I'm just like, he's like, yeah. He's like, what do you think's going on? I'm like, I don't know, doctor. What do you think's going on? The kit they brought up was awesome. It had ACLS meds, an IV start kit, like all this stuff in it. That was their kit on this airplane. I'm like, this is bananas. We could actually, because at first I'm like, if someone ever has an emergency on a plane, we're just going to sit there and be like, yeah, take the body to that airport. You know, like that's basically what this is going to be. But no, in that case, it was solid.
Yeah. I sat in on a seminar at EMS World Expo where they went through the entire process of like what happens in an in-flight medical emergency and like what's in the kit and like how you like there's a medical ground crew that could talk you through things, and like technically it's not really in like a protocols jurisdiction, and then like they'll tell you what you need to do. And I was like, this is now I'm ready. Like, ding, it's me. I'll help. I could do it. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Way to throw Chris under the bus.
All right. So
that's what I'm here for.
You're up.
Like, I'll hurt Chris for a laugh.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's
I don't think it's a heart though, because he'll hurt himself for a laugh too. So it's potato.
We have something in common.
Yeah. He would have hurt his child for a laugh.
I feel like we could go on for forever. I love talking to you guys. I love listening to you. I do have one question left, which is an homage to one of the things that you do on your show in terms of themes, in terms of coming up with different like service names. So I just wanted to ask you guys this one last question, and then we can wrap this thing up. And it's a fun one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to choose one fictional service to run as an ALS truck with your co-host. And you get to choose from the following services. Now, they're in a fictional world. So it comes with a fictional world. So number one is Gotham City EMS.
Okay.
That's in the like circa Tim Burton Batman Returns world, where like you have to deal with like, you know, the world where like there's carnival looking dudes running around causing chaos, right? Like with the Penguin.
Yeah,
I like this already.
Manhattan Medics. Now, this is the world of Escape from New York, where the entirety of Manhattan is a prison colony.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Run by Isaac Hayes, you know?
Okay.
With Snake Plissken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Snake.
Call me Snake. I thought you'd be taller. Middle Earth Medical Services. Now, this can be any, it's kind of you can even consider this one flight. You fly around on eagles around the Lord of the Rings, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And, that whole world, because there's a lot of places in the Lord of the Rings. Like you can go to Rivendell, you can go to, Mordor. You got a whole.
We'll never go to Rivendell because they never get fucking sick.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's.
They're definitely not kicking. They might kick people out of the old folks home. They're like, we have too many people that need to be old in here now. So we need to, we need you to bounce him out of here. You guys ever see the movie Idiocracy?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So Idiot's Ambulance Corps would be in Washington, D.C. in that world of idiocracy.
Yeah.
So you get any of those fictional places or Florida. Just
or just
or just Florida.
Or just as it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's fictional enough, right? Like they have alligators and meth. I mean, like
see, but
they also got the Fire Department Chronicles guy. He's out of Florida.
Dude, I love him. He is the best.
Yeah.
Jason is his name.
Yes.
Tim Burton. It's the Tim Burton Batman, though. That's the thing. If it was the Christopher Nolan, I would say Christopher Nolan's Batman. Only for one reason, and that is the most...
Because his name's Chris.
Yes. That is the most accurate depiction of EMS ever was in Dark Knight Rises. And it was when the guy had a bomb implanted in his abdomen. And you can see there's a 3-person ambulance crew, which means one of them's the intern. And the intern is the one doing the work, and he's down there and he's just making it up as he goes along. He's like, I think he has some kind of abdominal contusion. And I'm like, that's real right there. That's an intern who's on struggle street right now trying to impress his preceptors. And so I'm like, best depiction of EMS ever that I've seen in a movie. No, it's to answer your question. So Spencer and I, we got to decide together, right? Like we have to agree.
No, you guys can choose either one. It's just which world would you rather set up your, be an ALS provider in with your co-host?
Oh man, I want to ride an eagle really bad.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go Middle Earth. We'd never get to go to Rivendell, and it'd probably just be like nonstop orc transport.
Well, you'd be in Isengard all the time.
Yeah.
Just
so what's the deal with Rivendell?
It's fine.
I don't know Lord of the Rings very well. What's the deal with Rivendell?
Oh, it's filled with elves.
Okay, but they still have trauma, right? Can't that happen to them?
Yeah.
Not in Rivendell.
Well, no, yeah.
I mean, they could fall, I guess, but they're very graceful. I don't think that they fall much.
Yeah.
So I'm saying not only would I want to do there, I would want my post to be Rivendell on my eagle because then I just get to fly an eagle around. I don't run any calls. This is fantastic.
Well, we're going to have to system status you down to Mordor.
Yeah, they're going to post you up at different places. So
gotcha.
You're going to get set up at what's the place right outside of Mordor? Minas Tirith. You're set at Minas Tirith today.
Well, and let's face it. Unless they have Mario Kart in Middle Earth, getting stationed at Rivendell probably wouldn't be that exciting. So,
you got to have
a lot of singing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That all right. Yeah, I'm sticking with Middle Earth. I'm sticking with the eagle.
Yeah.
I want to ride. You too, Spencer.
Yep.
It's a fair choice. There's a lot of variety in Middle Earth. You could make a career there.
Yeah, I feel like the other ones would test my ability to survive, or my will to live.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Idiocracy would be the hard one. That would just be like, oh man,
that would be the will to live.
Yeah, that'd be the one where it's like, okay, perfect.
That's a rough place. I mean, just like everyone's slurping soda the whole time and doing, and everyone's wearing Crocs. Who wants to live in that world?
I mean,
I'm wearing Crocs right now.
Yeah, I mean, you said Florida was on the list too, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Before we go, Mike, John, and Max, if you were here, I gotta say, I really enjoy your podcast. I think it's an excellent podcast for anybody who's curious about what it's like going through EMT school. And what I love is that, you start from essentially, not nothing, but, with very limited EMS knowledge and just kind of watching you grow through it, as the episodes have progressed. It's a kick in the pants. It's so fun. And I think that really does help folks who are curious about going into it. And so I salute you guys for doing that and for, bringing that insight, out to the public. And so what I need everybody who's listening to this or watching this to do is to insist that he go through EMTA school. Everyone's got to get on board. Then you'll have to find an intermediate program somewhere. And then paramedic school and, some kind of flights thing. And then, fuck it, doctor, man. Let's just ride this train all the way through.
I'm going to be like a 65-year-old med student.
Yeah. Hey.
Patch Adams did it.
For the podcast, you said you would do anything to get a laugh.
I would. I have started looking at paramedic school already.
Rocked an EMT card for 13
my time
years.
is my time is coming to an end, guys. I am so sorry.
Of course.
I have to dip out now at this point. But Spencer said some really cool stuff. And so just imagine me saying stuff that's equally as cool, but different enough that it's worth saying.
Yeah.
We did have, oh God, one more thing. Let me extend my own time. We did have one thing that was Spencer and I have a habit of summarizing each other, which is kind of dumb if you think about it, because he just effing said it, and then it was, Dr. Feldman was on with us. Dr. Ryan Feldman, he's a toxicologist. He's a phenomenal dude. He comes up and he says, we had him on once and we made a joke about that. And he was like, let me say what you just said with slightly different terms. And we're like, we should make a t-shirt out of that. Anyway, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm so happy to be on your podcast. What a good concept, too. I think you guys have an absolutely winning concept. So,
well, we're following in the footsteps, and thank you guys for doing what you do.
Yes.
We've loved, getting to spend the time with you and listening, and hopefully we'll get you back again. If you have anything else to announce, coming up on your podcast, please feel free. We're happy to have you on. I have like 20 more questions, stupid ones of movie trivia and stuff like that we can talk through.
Get through school, and then you can come on our podcast.
Oh, I'm done. I finished.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. He's an EMT now.
As of last week, I'm now an EMT.
Oh, thank God. Spence, there he is. He can fill the spot. I'm out. You got the editing down. You're all good. Can't hear you, Spence.
I'm the tech guy now, I guess.
So that's good. I am free, motherfuckers. I will.
What a way to exit. Oh, man. Well, Spencer, thank you so much for joining us. And this has been an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to chatting with you some more.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. And we'll talk later.
All right. Thanks, well, we'll see you next time. All of you, we'll see you next time on the Ride Along. This podcast is for educational and storytelling purposes only. It is not medical advice or official EMT training. Always follow your accredited instructors and local protocols.
Heartbeats racing.